Assalamu Alaikum, Rahmatullahi wa Barakatuh. Welcome to the very first episode of our Qur'an Journaling Series. I want to start by answering the question, what is Qur'an journaling and why should we do it? Qur'an journaling is the practice of slowing down with the Qur'an, reading, reflecting, and writing down our thoughts, questions, and du'as. It's a way to turn the words of Allah into something deeply personal, so the Qur'an doesn't just sit on our shelves, but lives in our hearts and actions. So typically the way that people do this is they just do Qur'an journaling, right? They just read the Qur'an and the translation, and then they journal upon that, or they might read a little bit about the ayah as well. But in our series, this is the important part. Reflection is not enough on its own. That's where Tafseer comes in. Tafseer helps us understand the background of the ayah, why they were revealed, what lessons the companions took from them, and what the scholars have explained. So when you combine journaling and Tafseer, you get the best of both worlds. Tafseer grounds you in authentic understanding, and journaling helps you internalize and apply that understanding in your daily life. This way, we're not just writing what we think the ayah means, but we're learning the truth, then reflecting on how it applies personally. Before we jump in, let's talk about preparation. What do you actually need to get started? First, your Quran. This can be a physical copy with translation or a digital app if you prefer. If you are going the digital way, Quran.com is a really great website. It has the Arabic Quran as well as the translation, as well as the tafsir and spots to make notes. If you want to make notes on the app, you can create an account and go from there. You can also use other mobile apps like Rafiq, which is your Islamic companion. So if you want to just pull out your phone, read the Quran, read the translation, you can do that on that. Next, you will need a journal. Any notebook works. You can use lined, blank, dotted, or even digital journaling if that's your style. I will be using a physical notebook for this. It is dotted, and it looks like this. I'll show you a little bit. It has a pocket here, so, Let me just give you a little introduction, There we go. Okay. So basically, this is Tafseer ibn Kathir. I have the intro of this here. This is really important, okay? When you start the series off, please read the introduction or listen about the introduction, okay? That's really important. So this is some tafsir I had from before. I will now have the tafsir available digitally for you guys, okay? So this is just some notes. So I will be starting because I am a creative person. I do need some stickers for purposes and decoration as well. But look, so this is to identify what surah it was, where it was revealed. And I have some reminders. This is going to be my tab that will go right here, and then just some stickers. This is my Ramadan ones, so I can use some of these to here if I need. I have others as well, but we're gonna do. Then supplies, pens, highlighters, markers, sticky notes, tabs, or even stickers if you like making it visually engaging. Now remember, you don't have to overthink this. You can start with what you have. But me being a creative person, I do like there to be a little bit of color or some sort of decoration on my pages just to catch my attention or make me want to go back and look at it. And then most importantly, you will need to choose a tafsir source. This could be a trusted book of tafsir, a reliable scholar whose lectures you can follow, or an online resource you know is authentic. For the tafsir, I will be focusing on Tafseer ibn Kathir. So if you do want to listen to my recaps or my lectures on it, it will be based on Tafseer ibn Kathir, and I will be studying with two scholars mainly. I might change them up in depending on like the different surahs, but my main two teachers will be Ustad Abdurrahman Hassan and Ustad Muhammad Tim Humble. And these are the videos that I found, right? I have the first of all, the most important thing is you have to study the introduction of any book that you are studying, especially Islamic books. You need to read the introduction. You need to know what the author is saying to you, because in the introduction they tell you why they wrote the book that they did and the sources they used and the reason and the thought process behind that. So that is really important to read. So this is a video of Ustad Abdurrahman Hassan. It is on the introduction to Tafseer ibn Kathir. It is about 4 hours long, but that just shows you how important the introductions are and how extensive they can actually be. So I am going to listen to his introduction right here. And then also we have Ustad Muhammad Tim Humble's introduction as well. So he has this whole series of tafsir. If you want, I will be linking all of these links in the description. But yeah, this is his series. And then I also have Ustad Abdurrahman Hassan's tafsir opened right here, just as another example. This is his tafsir on Surah Al-Fatiha. It is 10 hours long. But again, like, normally Surah Fatiha seems really small, but it is really, really detailed if you actually like sit down and study this. But yeah, so here are a couple of the resources that I will be using. I do have my own Quran, which has word-to-word translation, as well as the regular translation. It does not have tafsir. So the word-to-word translation is right underneath the Arabic. And then we have the sentence translations on the sides. And then besides that, I will be using Tafseer ibn Kathir and then these videos or these series. Another thing I forgot to mention earlier is that Quran.com has the Tafseer ibn Kathir as well as some other tafsirs. So once you click on an ayah, there is an option to go ahead and open the tafsir of it. So if you don't have the book, you don't have another digital copy, you can always go to the website and read it on there. Okay, so before starting a surah, you always want to begin by listening to or reading the introduction of the tafsir. For example, if you're studying Surah Al-Fatiha, take time to learn when it was revealed, what makes it unique, and what the scholars said about its importance. So this sets the stage and it gives you context so that when you start journaling ayah by ayah, you're not just writing blindly, but building from a foundation of knowledge. So think of this as an orientation before the journey. And if you do follow the videos that I am following, the teachers are really good and they're going to, give you all the details that you need. So here is how I personally approach Qur'an journaling with the tafsir, right? Starting with Bismillah and dua, asking Allah to open my heart and grant me understanding. Read the ayah in Arabic, even if I don't know all the meanings, right? You still want to connect to the Arabic, even though you're doing the translation and the tafsir. And then we're going to read the translation, then we study the tafsir. So this is where I pause, I will take notes, I will highlight what needs to be highlighted, right, from the story and the lessons that explained by the scholars. So this part this time I will be doing digitally. So I'm going to take digital notes of the tafsir of the Quran, and then I will do my journaling and my reflections in the actual physical notebook, right? I'm going to write out what stood out, what it teaches me, how it applies to my life, and adding any du'as or something connected to that. So the reflection part is actually going to go in my Quran journal, and I will be doing tafsir digitally. The reason that I'm going to do the tafsir digitally is I do typically take notes for my Islamic studies courses on my iPad, just so it's easier for me to store for the future, because I know I want to keep these for a long time, because they're very extensive and I do put in a lot of time and effort into those. So it's something that I want to be able to go back to and look at whenever I need to, right? So for this series, I'm going to be doing the tafsir on my iPad, and then I will do my reflections in my journal and my notes from my tafsir that I will be making digital notes, right? I will be sharing that in every video underneath in the description box in case you guys want to download them and use them or study from them. Okay, so the reason that I'm actually putting my notes up for download is that, to be honest, taking notes takes time, right? It takes a lot of time. So some of you, like if you're listening to a 10-hour video, that's kind of a long time, right? But typically the videos are going to be divided into smaller sections or smaller videos. But let's say you're spending an hour, 2 hour listening to a lecture, you might not have time to make notes. You might be taking out any free time that you have to listen to the lecture, right? Which is important, like actually listening. So you might be doing that while driving, while doing some housework, cooking, exercising, anything. So in that case, anything that stands out to you, you can, make note of that and then add it to your Quran journal. And then you can refer to the notes as revision if you'd like, or as something you might want to just keep it as something to go back to. So in that case, my notes will be available. Do take use of them, look at them, go through them, and yeah. Besides from that, the creative element, I've already mentioned that, being a creative person, I do like to highlight, color code, and make some nice notes. So that's just on me. If you guys don't like that, I know some of you guys might just like black and white notes. That's perfectly fine. Do whatever suits you. Do whatever you have time for. And do whatever fulfills you in this situation, okay? So inshallah, in the next episodes, we'll actually begin with surahs, go through tafsir together, and reflect in our journals. If you're starting this journey with me, let me know in the comments what tafsir book or teacher you are planning to use, okay? Wa Assalamu Alaikum Rahmatullahi wa Barakatuh.
This is between me and my servant will have what they ask for, meaning the right of Allah to be worshipped, and that we are asking Allah's help, and that Allah promises to help us when we worship Him alone. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم